At first, it seems like just another tense episode in Fallout Season 2. Episode 6, the kind of episode where every line of dialogue, every shadow in the background, and every subtle glance can hold a secret you might completely miss. You watch the main story unfold, following the choices and actions of the characters you know and love or fear, but there's a detail that almost nobody notices. Something hidden in plain sight, a presence that silently influences the entire episode without drawing attention to itself. And it's this hidden presence, this other player, that changes the way you understand the episode once you finally see it. Episode 6 starts with the fallout from the shocking events of the previous episodes, immediately setting a tense, high-stakes tone. The main characters are dealing with the consequences of their earlier choices, and every interaction carries weight. As the episode progresses, the story splits between different groups, each dealing with their own challenges. The writers cleverly layer the scenes with distractions, big moments of conflict, dramatic dialogue, and emotional beats that naturally pull your attention. While you're focused on these key moments, the show quietly sets up the reveal of the other player, leaving subtle clues scattered in the background. This is the kind of storytelling that rewards careful watching, where the most important elements aren't always in the center of the frame. One of the things that makes this episode particularly brilliant is how it uses perspective. The camera often shifts between characters in ways that feel natural, but if you look closer, the framing is purposeful. A passing figure in the distance, a brief movement in the background, or a conversation that seems irrelevant at first glance, these are all hints planted for the attentive viewer. The episode doesn't hit you over the head with foreshadowing. Instead, it relies on visual storytelling, timing, and subtle interactions to hint at the other player's presence. For instance, during one key scene, a character's dialogue seems directed at an empty space, but if you slow down or pause the frame, you notice a shadow just outside the shot. That shadow, unnoticed by most viewers, is the first real hint that someone else is influencing events. Another layer of the episode's brilliance lies in the way it manipulates your expectations. As viewers, we're trained to focus on main characters and their arcs. The show leverages this by placing the other player in areas that don't immediately demand attention, like a corner of the room, a side street, or just outside a doorway. Your eyes naturally gravitate toward the drama, the explosions of emotion, the visible tension, but the other player is quietly observing, waiting for the right moment to make an impact. It's this misdirection that makes the reveal so satisfying later on. Once you notice the clues, you start to realize that the other player isn't just present, they've been orchestrating, guiding, or subtly influencing events the entire episode. This first section is all about laying the groundwork. To fully appreciate the reveal, you need to understand the episode's rhythm, the characters' positions, and the pacing of the tension. Every glance, every line of dialogue, and every seemingly minor action is intentional. By the time the reveal hits, it doesn't feel random, it feels inevitable, like the episode was quietly building to this moment from the start. For fans who rewatch the episode after spotting the first hint of the other player, the experience changes completely. Scenes you thought were straightforward now carry new meaning. And every decision by the main characters is recontextualized by the hidden influence of this unseen participant. The genius of Fallout Season 2, Episode 6 is how it rewards curiosity. While casual viewers may miss the hidden player entirely, anyone who pauses, rewinds, or pays close attention will see the clever orchestration behind every scene. The other player's presence isn't just a cameo or Easter egg, it's a crucial element of the narrative that deepens the story and makes the episode richer on multiple levels. The subtlety of this reveal shows how meticulous the writers are, hiding important story elements where only attentive viewers will catch them. And once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Every previous scene suddenly feels layered, every interaction more charged, and the episode transforms from a simple installment of the season into a masterclass in storytelling. By the end of this section, the audience should be primed to pay attention to details, to look beyond the obvious, and to start questioning what they're seeing on screen. The next sections will dive into the exact moments where the other player appears, the clues they leave, and the implications of their hidden presence for the rest of the season. But first, it's essential to absorb how the episode carefully sets the stage, manipulating perspective, misdirection, and subtle visual cues to make the reveal both surprising and inevitable. As the episode moves deeper into its events, the other player's presence becomes more tangible, though still almost imperceptible if you're not paying attention. It starts with subtle cues that the writers have carefully embedded throughout the episode. During a tense negotiation scene, while the main characters are locked in an argument, a figure is visible only briefly in the background, partially obscured by shadows. Most viewers' eyes are naturally drawn to the heated exchange, but if you slow down the footage or freeze frame, you notice movements that don't belong to any of the primary cast. The other player isn't interacting openly. There are no lines of dialogue, no dramatic gestures, but their positioning is deliberate. They are observing, reacting in real time, and influencing the atmosphere without stepping into the spotlight. These background actions are more than just incidental movement. They are visual storytelling that signals the player's involvement in shaping the events around them. Another significant scene occurs when two main characters split to investigate different parts of a facility. While one character is focused on a puzzle or confrontation, the other player can be seen in reflective surfaces, a brief silhouette behind glass panels, or in mirrors. It's subtle, almost like a visual whisper, but it's enough to hint that someone else is present, silently impacting the tension of the scene. This technique is effective because it bypasses dialogue entirely, relying solely on visual hints to establish presence. The show intentionally hides this character in peripheral vision, forcing attentive viewers to question what they are seeing. The repeated inclusion of these glimpses is a classic storytelling device that the writers employ to make the reveal feel earned, rather than sudden, throughout the episode. The other player also influences events indirectly. In one hallway confrontation, a character hesitates for a moment, glancing toward a corner of the room that appears empty at first glance. This pause seems minor but changes the pacing of the entire scene. That hesitation, unnoticed by most, is the direct result of the other player's unseen presence. The scene is crafted so that the audience senses something off, even if they can't immediately identify what it is. These tiny moments accumulate, creating an underlying tension that is consistently felt but rarely consciously noticed. It's a brilliant manipulation of the viewer's perception. The writers plant unease without explicit explanation, which is later clarified once the other player is fully revealed. In addition to visual cues, subtle audio hints reinforce the hidden presence. Faint noises, footsteps in the distance, a door creaking softly, or objects moving slightly off-screen are strategically placed to suggest movement without confirming identity. Viewers may interpret these sounds as ambient noise, but they are actually deliberate markers pointing to the other player. The combination of background visuals and understated audio cues works together to build a sense that the world is larger than the main storyline suggests. It's a multi-layered storytelling approach where the audience gradually senses there is more happening than what the primary narrative shows. And these subtle additions make the eventual reveal of the other player far more impactful. By the midpoint of the episode, the accumulation of these subtle hints creates a shift in perspective. Scenes that initially seem straightforward now carry new meaning, and attentive viewers start piecing together the unseen player's role. The writers are careful not to overexpose this character. Every glimpse is timed precisely to maintain mystery while ensuring that, on rewatch, the presence is undeniable. This deliberate pacing ensures that the other player's reveal doesn't feel forced. It feels like the episode has been quietly building toward this revelation from the very beginning. Every background shadow, reflective silhouette, and minor sound cue now reads as intentional storytelling, weaving a layer of intrigue that elevates the entire episode. The genius of these scenes is that they reward viewers who slow down and observe carefully. While casual viewers may never consciously notice the other player, those who do catch the subtle signs gain a deeper understanding of the episode's tension, character behavior, and plot orchestration. It's a reminder that Fallout storytelling is meticulous, blending visual, auditory, and narrative cues to create a layered experience. Once the other player's presence is fully acknowledged, the episode transforms. Scenes that seemed ordinary suddenly feel like pieces of a larger puzzle, and every character choice is recontextualized in light of this hidden influence. The careful placement of these cues is what makes Section 2 essential, bridging the... As the episode progresses, it becomes clear that the other player's presence is not random. The writers have carefully planted subtle clues throughout the episode, rewarding viewers who pay attention to small details. These aren't obvious hints, they're more like breadcrumbs left along the edges of the main story. For example, in one scene, a character glances toward a seemingly empty corridor before making a decision. To the casual viewer, it appears to be a moment of hesitation or indecision, but upon closer inspection, that glance aligns perfectly with the other player's hidden position. The placement is deliberate. It creates a sense of influence without drawing direct attention, signaling that someone outside the main frame is shaping events. These minor visual cues, repeated across multiple scenes, accumulate to form a hidden layer of storytelling that enriches the episode for attentive fans. Foreshadowing is another tool the writers use expertly. Earlier episodes of Season 2 include subtle references that hint at the presence of another entity influencing events, but most viewers don't notice them until now. In Episode 6, these references are threaded seamlessly into dialogue, background actions, and even environmental details. A line that initially seems like casual exposition may actually describe the other player's motivations or abilities. Objects in the environment, such as a slightly ajar door or a flickering light in an otherwise empty room, serve as visual metaphors, subtly pointing toward someone unseen. The cleverness lies in the way the show treats these clues as natural elements of the scene rather than overt signals. This method ensures that the eventual reveal feels earned and consistent, rather than contrived. Some of the most compelling clues involve patterns in character behavior that initially seem coincidental. Throughout the episode, certain characters make decisions or act in ways that feel slightly out of character. At first, these moments might seem like poor writing or rushed plotting, but when viewed through the lens of the other player's influence, they suddenly make sense. The hidden presence subtly guides choices, introduces hesitation, or triggers reactions that ripple through the storyline. This type of indirect manipulation adds depth to both the plot and the character arcs, showing that the story operates on multiple levels at once. Fans who notice these patterns start to piece together the unseen player's strategy, predicting their influence even before the reveal occurs. In addition to visual and behavioral clues, the show uses environmental storytelling to foreshadow the other player's role. Background elements like shadows, reflections, and even the positioning of props are carefully orchestrated to hint at someone watching or moving unseen. These elements are often easy to miss, blending seamlessly with the episode's atmosphere, yet they reinforce the hidden presence every time the scene is revisited. The combination of these environmental details with the subtle behavioral and visual cues creates a network of hints that, when noticed, completely reshapes how the episode is experienced. It's a brilliant narrative technique that rewards patience and attention to detail beyond the immediate episode. These clues also invite speculation about the other player's intentions and future impact on the season. By carefully hiding this character, the writers create intrigue and tension that extends beyond Episode 6. Fans are encouraged to theorize, why has the other player been observing events rather than intervening directly? What long-term effects will their presence have on key characters and plot lines? This level of engagement transforms passive viewing into an interactive experience, where noticing a small shadow or a brief movement can lead to new insights and discussions about the story. The foreshadowing, coupled with the cleverly hidden cues, ensures that the other player is not just a one-off surprise, but a meaningful element that enriches the overarching narrative. By the end of this section, viewers should be able to see how the episode is layered with intentional design. The other player isn't just physically present in the background, they're woven into the very fabric of the episode, affecting decisions, shaping tension, and setting the stage for future revelations. Every minor movement, reflective surface, and carefully timed pause is a deliberate choice by the creators, building suspense and rewarding those who watch carefully. Recognizing these clues allows fans to understand the depth of the storytelling, seeing episode 6 not just as a single installment, but as a pivotal moment in the season where hidden forces begin to reveal their influence by the time the other player is fully revealed. The entire narrative of episode 6 takes on a new meaning. Scenes that once seemed straightforward now appear layered with strategy, manipulation, and hidden intention. The subtle cues and background actions from earlier in the episode are no longer small details, they are evidence of a hidden force shaping the events around the main characters. This revelation reshapes the audience's understanding of relationships, character decisions, and the overall story arc. What initially felt like coincidence or minor hesitation now reads as deliberate orchestration by someone operating outside the spotlight. The episode's tension, previously driven by visible conflicts, gains a deeper dimension. Because the hidden player's presence implies that there are always unseen stakes influencing every choice. One of the most significant impacts is on the perception of the main characters. Decisions that seemed impulsive or emotionally driven can now be reevaluated as responses to subtle manipulation. For example, moments where a character pauses or hesitates take on new significance once the other player's presence is acknowledged. These micro-interactions now suggest that even the smallest actions are not isolated, they are part of a larger, unseen chain of influence. The reveal forces viewers to reconsider who truly holds power in the episode. Control is no longer solely with the visible characters. It extends to the hidden player who quietly nudges events in specific directions, creating a layer of intrigue that transforms the story into something far more complex than it initially appeared. The reveal also has major implications for the story's future trajectory. Fallout Season 2 has consistently used layered storytelling, but the introduction of an unseen player adds a new dimension to the plot. This character's presence hints at a broader network of influence, suggesting that events in the background may shape outcomes in ways the audience has not yet imagined. For instance, conflicts between main characters may be subtly exacerbated by this hidden force, creating ripple effects that will be felt in upcoming episodes. The strategic positioning of the other player suggests that the writers are not just creating a one-off surprise, they are establishing a long-term narrative element capable of altering the balance of power, shifting alliances, and introducing unpredictability that keeps viewers engaged and guessing beyond the narrative mechanics. The reveal also elevates the thematic depth of the episode. Fallout has always explored consequences, hidden motivations, and the unseen forces that shape outcomes. The other player embodies these themes literally, acting as a physical representation of the hidden pressures that influence character decisions. The audience is reminded that in this world, not everything is as it seems, and much of what drives the story happens out of view. By embedding this hidden presence so carefully, the show encourages viewers to pay attention to detail, question apparent reality, and consider how small actions and observations can have far-reaching consequences. It transforms episode 6 into more than just a dramatic installment. It becomes a lesson in perception and the power of subtle influence. Finally, the reveal changes how viewers will approach the rest of Season 2. Rewatching earlier episodes with this knowledge in mind highlights additional moments where the other player may have appeared or influenced events unnoticed. It encourages a deeper level of engagement, prompting viewers to look for patterns, interpret character behavior more critically, and appreciate the intricate planning behind the storytelling. The other player's introduction is not just a narrative twist, it's a structural shift in how the season is experienced. It rewards careful observation, builds anticipation for future developments, and reinforces Fallout's reputation for layered, intelligent storytelling. The consequences of this reveal extend beyond a single episode, reshaping character dynamics, narrative tension, and audience perception in ways that will resonate throughout the remainder of the season, with the other player fully revealed. Episode 6 transforms from a standard installment into a turning point for Fallout Season 2. Every interaction, every glance, and every decision by the main characters takes on a layered significance that wasn't apparent on first viewing. The subtle setup throughout the episode, background movements, reflective surfaces, careful positioning, and even faint audio cues now pays off in a way that feels both surprising and inevitable. Viewers realize that the tension they felt was not just from the obvious conflicts, but from the unseen influence of this hidden participant. The episode becomes a masterclass in storytelling, showing how meticulous attention to detail can elevate suspense and engagement without needing over-the-top action or exposition. One of the most fascinating outcomes of the reveal is how it reframes character dynamics. The relationships that viewers thought were straightforward are now infused with complexity. Decisions that seemed purely